Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, we got Season 2 of ranking shooting badges in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. To explain how this works, the text color is going to mean in the Season 1 ranking of these shooting badges, I had it in that tier. So for instance, Slippery Off-Ball and Set Shooter were in purple, aka the E tier, Limitless Spot Up and Rhythm Shooter in the D, and so on for the green matching the C, yellow matching the B, and etc, etc. So, hope y'all enjoy. None of that, let's get straight into this. So our first badge of the video is going to be Slippery Off-Ball, moving from the E tier to the D tier. So to explain my reason on why this is so low on the list, and it was definitely my worst shooting badge on the list because Set Shooter was also in the E, but I had Set Shooter a little bit above Slippery Off-Ball. My reason for Slippery Off-Ball being so low was that I didn't understand how you could ever have an inside big that even had a shooting badge on it in the first place, but there's also a list of things that go on top of that. So for instance, you have the +4 badges you get from college. You can now also select where you want to put those if you're on a rebirth build, and then also for being a level 39, you get an extra badge that you can also put on something that you want. So if you are someone who made a build with high close shot, your mid-range goes up by default to the point where you get the bronze Slippery Off-Ball. And I gotta say, it's been putting in work on my 7.3 that I have that has 99 close shot, and even for the 7-footer that I have, I also have a shooting badge on it and I have bronze Slippery Off-Ball. It's really improving the way that I run pick and rolls, but I will say I don't know if this badge is really necessary to be ran on anything other than an inside big that happens to have bronze Slippery Off-Ball, or silver if you manage to get that. But either way, it is something that's still going to be relevant in terms of a playstyle for someone who likes to dex around off-ball, or we call this two-step in Pro-Am, where you fake a wrap toward the top and then dex back where you came from, and it's still a very good movement, and it is going to help you move and stuff like that as well. And like I said, off of screens from yourself, it's very good at getting you open too. So bronze Slippery Off-Ball and silver, not too bad of a badge, and I haven't even seen the power of this on Hall of Fame, to be completely honest with you guys. So it could be game-changing, and I'm not going to lie to you either. Off-ball movement is really good in this game. Like, it's really hard to keep up with people on off-ball movement, and especially when the person hits you on a pass. I don't know why, but these passes are accelerating you like 10 times faster than you're already running before when the pass is midair and you're just gliding into that catch animation for the shot. So off-ball movement is good, and Slippery Off-Ball does also coexist with that. So honestly, there is a reasonable case that could be made for this badge, and even if you're someone who likes to play wing or a point guard, or even getting open as a point guard, low-key, bronze Slippery Off-Ball is a pretty good budget of a badge. It only costs you 1 point, and you're going to see a lot of utility when it comes to off-ball movement. So I might even be sleeping on this. This could belong in the C tier on top of that, but anyway. Next badge that we have is going to be Set Shooter, staying in the E tier. What it's going to do is, the longer that you sit still and wait to shoot the ball, you're going to receive a shooting boost, and realistically, I don't know who does that. You guys can let me know in the comments if you are wide open and the defender is nowhere to be found, if you just sit there and stare him down like Harden after he breaks somebody. But long story short, I don't see anybody do this. I don't suggest anybody do this in the first place either. I feel like it's way easier for you to time your jump shot off a routine catch and shoot motion that you do every single time and not throwing any kinks into it. So Set Shooter, in my opinion, not a great badge, but it's still not useless, so it's not going to be in the F tier. For our next badge, we got Rhythm Shooter, moving from D tier to C tier. For those who don't know, 2K22 is going to be moving in a way where certain animations are locked, and then from every season to new season, there are certain animations that are unlocked. My theory was, in the last video that we did with the shooting badges, is that whenever Curry Slide comes out, Rhythm Shooter is going to see an increase in terms of its utility and going to be higher on this tier list. Well, there happens to be a glitch to put it on your player. I think it's been patched now, but people would pretty much do a test builder. They would keep on loading up their player until the Curry Slide was on it, and then they would start their My Career. For our next badge, we got Rhythm Shooter, moving from D tier to C tier. Now, I did mention in the previous video that we did in Season 1 of ranking shooting badges that whenever we saw a new animation unlocked that was going to be more easy to shoot off of in terms of size up escape packages, that this badge would also see an increase, because for those who don't know out there, Rhythm Shooter is for shooting off of size up escapes, or just any size up move that you do, really. And then on top of that too, if you don't know, in 2K22, animations are going to be unlocked from season to season. So for instance, whenever the Curry Slide was going to come out, that was my theory on when this badge would be best used. So there happens to be a glitch in the game where you would load up in the test builder, see if you have the Curry Slide on your player, and when you finally do, you would start your career, and people have glitched the Curry Slide onto some of their players. It's not an animation that's fully accessible, and at this point, 2K may as well just drop it, to be completely honest with you, because it's a competitive advantage for some people that do have it versus not. But either way, there is still a good size up escape package to shoot off of. Trae Young is really not that bad, and honestly, it's one of the better ones in the game just in general to dribble off of. And on top of that, like I said, it's pretty good in terms of its escape package to your offhand for shooting off of, and it's definitely decent. Now let's pit this badge up against others, because for shooting off of Rhythm Shooter, it means you have to do those size up escapes, and in my opinion, that's just not the best way of going about things. So you have the quick stop, which is going to be involved in stop and pop, and it's pretty much just as soon as you let go of everything and just shoot the ball, boom, stop and pop's going to activate on literally every shot you take. Then you have other things like circus threes, which has now been buffed, and it features in fadeaways and just dribble pull-ups and stuff like that. But then you also have, with circus threes, you have the step back jumpers or the hop jumpers, so to say. And honestly, I feel like both those play styles are way better for shooting the ball off of, but either way, you can't just neglect shooting off of a size up escape package. If you're open off of a dribble move, then you may as well shoot, obviously, but it just doesn't happen very often in this game. It's a lot of sprinting and sideways movement. If you're doing it off of fades, or if you're doing it off of quick stops and the stop and pop, then that's definitely a better way and a more usable way in terms of using your badge points. And I just don't know if Rhythm Shooter really sees enough utility to really be up there with those two badges that are going to be in the S, A, and B tier. Our next badge, also moving from the D tier to the C tier, is going to be Limitless Spot Up. Shout out to 2K Toots. He's shown us on Limitless Spot Up and Chef how far you actually have to shoot the ball from. I'm popping it on the screen right now and showing you guys how far that range actually is. Now, that is part of the reason and kind of the problem with this badge is there's not enough need for it. There's not enough utility for it. Where in previous years, if you had the Limitless Range badge, it would progressively increase your range for every level of the badge you had. Now, it's just not really needed. You could shoot from inside that bar really, really easy and not really have it affect your game at all. What it is really good for is maybe Pro-Am, where you can spot up from really deep and it gives your point guard a whole lot more space to work with. Another really good example I have of this badge is maybe just the rare situation that you end up where your big man grabs a rebound, you were trying to get back on defense, but then you understand that he now has the ball and he passed back out to you and you were just a little bit too deep to shoot the ball. And Limitless Spot Up is going to allow you to shoot that and do it comfortably as well, and probably even just on a silver level, to be completely honest with you. But anyway, the badge, I honestly wanted to put it in the B tier. I felt like it was going to see a little bit of utility and increase with this update and the patch that it had, but honestly, just still, it really doesn't have a lot of utility unless you're playing Pro-Am, to be completely honest. You probably shouldn't be in that range regardless, and especially not in the off-ball catch and shoot situation. I feel like it's more reasonable to have Chef on, because if you're a point guard, it extends the pick and roll a little bit more, makes it so the defenders have to step out even further off your big man, and then boom, your big is open really easily off the pick and rolls. It's very convenient for you to be able to shoot the ball if you're open as well from that super deep range where it's outside the hot zones. But either way, Limitless Spot Up, C tier. So moving down from the C tier to the D tier, we have Clutch Shooter. Unfortunately, I just feel like this badge doesn't see enough need or reason to run it. It's going to be very specific with how often it even pops up. So to explain that, this badge is going to pop up whenever any team hits 14 points. And unfortunately, that's only 33% of the game in the first place. So you might be spending literally 6 badge points toward this if you have it on the Hall of Fame level. And it's just never going to be worth doing that. You're only getting it for, like I said, 1/3 of the game at most. And with that in mind, it just, no matter how good the badge actually was at boosting your ratings, I just feel like the whole 33% of it thing just kind of isn't enough to actually ever run this. Now, there is one case to be made for this, where if you're in the stage, I think the stage is really the specific thing with this badge, where a lot of teams, you're trading baskets back and forth. The games are generally close. They're going to be within probably like 3 to 4 points as long as you're playing it correctly. And when it comes down to that crunch time and you really have to hunt for that 3-pointer, you might need this badge, and it might actually help you in that sense. But I feel like stage is the only very specific situation that you need to run this badge on. Also, moving from C tier to D tier is gonna be Volume Shooter. I will say, I still love this badge for my career. I feel like it's pretty reasonable because you are the only player that matters. You can literally shoot the ball 50 times and then you're good. If you're some point guard out there who literally shoots the ball like 10, 11 times a game and you're just putting up every shot and you got like a lockdown who's just sitting there in the corner not doing anything, you got a big man that you never pass to, then hey, so be it. This badge might be like kind of a C tier thing for you, but honestly, you have to hold up that 1 shot per minute thing every single time, and even at that, you don't really see a huge increase to your shot ratings or anything like that. It feels like when you have the badge on. So me personally, I'm just gonna put Volume Shooter in the D tier, and I will say, like I said, I think it's still something reasonable worth running in my career if you're grinding shooting badges, but other than that, I don't think there's really any utility in this badge. Next up, staying in the C tier is gonna be Lucky Number 7. So with this badge right here, let's just explain this in the easiest way. The bigger the court, the harder it is for you to get these shots off. So in Pro-Am, this is just a never have badge. I don't think you should ever have Lucky Number 7 on for Pro-Am because it's already gonna take you like at least 5 seconds to get it past half court. At least 4 if they're not even running a press. So with Lucky Number 7, it's already way too hard for you to get shots off in Pro-Am. For 3v3, once again, a lot of the fiends out there, if you're playing anybody who's like decent, they're probably going to be inbound pressing you a little bit. And anybody who's really good, they're sending that double inbound press at you. They're going super hard for it, and it's going to be really hard for you to get those shots off. Now, maybe if you have multiple people run it, and they do run that double inbound press on you, you could pass it up to the inbounder or the guy who's also kind of the relief dude at half court, and then just like that, maybe one of them gets the Lucky Number 7 shot off. But either way, it's really particular. Also, apologize if I'm explaining really poorly what the badge actually does for those out there who aren't really kind of educated or aware on the game. This badge only works in the first 7 seconds of a shot clock. So essentially, you really have to get those shots off quick. Now, if you're playing 2v2 or 1v1, I think this badge becomes that much more useful. I think that's where the real utility is in it, and for that 1v1 court, it's really good. I mean, you can get shots off in 7 seconds for sure, as long as you're playing properly or if you're just really good at the game. Now, that's what it really comes down to too. I think lucky number 7 is also more of a good at the game type of a badge. Another badge that's gonna be really hard to identify, just like lucky number 7, is gonna be difficult shots. So for this badge right here, we're gonna put it in the B tier for this sole reason. If you're talking 2v2 and 2v2 only, difficult shots is A tier badge. It's gonna be really hard to defend those types of people who are coming off of screens and just sprinting to the mid or sprinting to the corner 3 and doing circus 3s, difficult shots type stuff, and you have to have no stick to be able to do stuff like that. I mean, literally, you can just sprint off a screen and just get a difficult shots fade at the mid-range, or a circus 3s like fade to the corner 3. And then you have corner specialists working on top of that too. It's really disgusting how good that would be on 2v2. And the thing is though, those mid-range shots aren't really worth much when you talk 3v3, and there's also more defenders on the court. You have one corner that's open, one corner that's not, if you're playing with a corner spot up or something like that too, so you can't exactly stretch the court out as much as you would on 2v2. So long story short, to compromise with this badge in terms of how good it is on 2s, yet how kind of useless it is on 3s, I'm just going to put it in the B tier to kind of offset those two things. So again, on the 3s, I would say it's probably a C tier badge. On the 2s, I'm gonna call it an A. And it's hard because this one is really specific, because the value of a mid-range shot really varies based on those two courts right there. And then for Pro-Am, it's kind of right in the middle too. I'd probably call it a B tier badge for Pro-Am, maybe even a C tier as well. It's hard to really get the fades on the mid-range. Pro-Am's a little bit more of like quick stop to the mid-range rather than fade, but either way, difficult shots, it's still going to boost your off-dribble mid-range shots really well, and that's really what the badge is good for. That's about it, and it's pretty self-explanatory with that. Our next two badges are both going to be moving from the C tier to the A tier. We have corner specialist and circus 3s. So ironically, we'll just talk about all three of these badges kind of tied together. So again, for 2v2, just to kind of expand on the difficult shots once again, this is also going to be combined with corner specialist really well. It works to those short mid-range shots or even long mid-range shots in terms of pairing together. You have a fade with the difficult shots, as well as you have the corner shot with the corner specialist. Now with circus 3s, it's the exact same thing as difficult shots, except it's from the 3-point range. So if you're fading to that corner, once again, you have corner specialist and circus 3s combining. And then on top of that, circus 3s actually has a second ability that's going to be really good too, paired with space creator and ankle breaking shots, where if you hold down on your stick, it's going to do those hop jumpers backwards, and circus 3s is nasty for that stuff. And it doesn't work from really good range. I would say you have to be kind of hugging the 3-point line when you're doing so. But if you put that Harrison Barnes hop jumper package on, combine it with space creator, combine it with ankle breaking shots, takeover, man, it's crazy. And then again, like I said, circus 3 still has another ability other than that with just fading. So realistically, they're both really good badges. Corner specialist is also something that really just should be noted. I'm going to start doing this too, because realistically, corner specialist is a great badge for the spot ups. Like, it's one of the best badges in the game when it comes to spot ups. You want corner specialist, catch and shoot, and hot zone hunter. Simple, right? And then sniper, obviously, as well. But the spot ups need to be factored into this list, as well as point guards. And when you have a situation where it's going to help both players, like for the point guards, it makes sense to have as well, because like I just said, the circus 3s, corner fades to the 3-point line. And then also, like I said, the spot ups, corner specialist, boom, works for them. It's pretty self-explanatory. I hope I don't have to explain this badge to anybody. Literally just boost your shots from the corner. Simple as that. Next badge, we got Green Machine staying in the B tier. Now, my best explanation for this badge right here, it's a little bit underwhelming, and I'll explain in a game situation. So, me in the first person point of view as a big man, and my guard, if he were to green one shot, in previous years, we would be like, yo, Green Machine is activated, or it was 2 in previous years as well. But anyway, we would be like, yo, Green Machine's activated, go ahead and go crazy. Like, you're going to be able to, like, really get some good shots off here and really see a big boost in terms of, like, what it's going to do for you in terms of getting those greens. But personally, it's never even crossed my mind this year, and I feel like it's maybe just not even worth running on some builds, or at the most, probably like bronze or silver. And I think you guys are going to hear that a lot from me. I think the bronze and silver badges are a really good budget in terms of things that don't really like break the game. Like, for instance, with all of these red badges right here, you want them on the highest level. When it comes to anything that's in like the B tier or like C tier, I feel like silver and bronze are like really good levels to put the stuff at, because then it doesn't like run up a budget on you, yet you could still have the utility of the badge there. And that's kind of how I feel about Green Machine. I feel like it's best used on bronze or silver. I don't really know. You guys can leave in the comments if you think this on Hall of Fame really gives you a huge increase in terms of once you get 1 or 2 greens rolling. But me personally, I feel like it still belongs in the B tier. Next badge, we get Fade Ace moving down from the B tier to the C tier. So my best explanation for why I'm moving this badge down, I feel like when it comes to the post game, and just for anybody who's curious out here, this is not what you would think difficult shots is if you're new to the game. It's not about fadeaways. It's literally about post fades and post fades only. And because of that, when it comes down to a move from range that you want to execute in the post, I feel like the post hook is going to be by far the better move for most people out there. If you're a big man, it likely means that your 3-point shot in mid-range can't really be that good, and subsequently with that mid-range shot not being that good, aka it's probably at 84 at highest. Whereas your close shot can literally go to 99. So you can get Hall of Fame hook specialist. You can just go ahead and throw that thing up from really far range, and it's looking nasty. And the only people I'd really even say this fits anymore at that point would be a guard who actually has good mid-range and doesn't have good close shot. And again, it's not to say that post fades are bad. I think post fades are still pretty good, but I think it's a waste of a lot of people's utility in terms of being a post scorer, and just that hook specialist and post hooks are way better. Next up on the list, we have catch and shoot. Now, the more that I've really thought about this badge, and it's not that this would have ever changed any usefulness or anything, right? I mean, it's always been the exact same. This is more of just a mentality change for me, and I want to kind of enlighten you guys in terms of why I feel like this is actually an A tier badge rather than a B. So, realistically, it fits a lot of people on the court. So we'll start from the ground up. We'll talk about 2v2. Now, obviously, if you're talking 1v1, there's no point in ever running this badge. That's kind of obvious, right? But for 2v2, double ISO is looking really good, and in which case, if you're ISOing at the one spot, you're always going to have a catch and shoot shot off that driving kick if there's ever a shot to be had for a three-pointer, except for obviously if you're the point guard and you're just ISOing for three. But realistically, double ISO and just kind of rim run is looking really lethal on 2v2, so catch and shoot fits that really well. For 3v3, it fits two people on the court most likely, and even for the point guard in the situation where he might get the ball back. Long story short, I feel like when I've been playing a little bit more park and see how casuals play the game a little bit more, it's a lot of drive and kick, it's a lot of spacing, it's a lot of people just kind of spotting up and shooting the ball, and catch and shoot fits that really well. And then for Pro-Am, you got 4 people on the court that it pertains to, and it's one of the most glue badges on the game when it comes to those corner spot ups. So realistically, catch and shoot deserves more credit than I'm giving it. So I wanted to put this in the A tier. I feel like it fits so many people's play style, and it's such a glue badge, and it's so just relevant and so easy to use in terms of when it's going to activate. And it's going to be pretty often that it activates too. Unless you're a point guard, in which case you probably only want to run catch and shoot on like bronze or silver. Once again, we're going to keep talking about that bronze and silver level for these badges that are kind of intermediate areas that you can't really fit into your like build, and it's not that relevant for you to do, but you still want the boost for it when it rarely occurs for you. So bronze catch and shoot for your PGs out there, I think that's solid. And then for everybody else on the court that can actually shoot the ball, the highest level you can put it, obviously. Next badge we got is gonna be Deadeye, moving from the B to the A. Now, here's the thing about this badge. Obviously, it helps you hit contested shots. As simple as that. Mismatch Expert and Blinders are gonna be the ones that actually drop the contest percentage. The Deadeye is gonna be the one that helps you hit contest. I feel like with my guards and just anybody I've seen on this game, when they have Deadeye on Hall of Fame, or even Gold, whatever the case may be, it's what allows you to hit those like 8, 10, 12% and stuff like that, or even the 20s. And obviously you've seen somebody in this game so far, if you've played it, hit like a 30 or something like that, and you've been super irritated, or they greened right through it. That is Deadeye at work, and I think people need to show this badge more credit. Next badge, we got Chef staying in the B tier. Like we showed earlier, with Limitless Spot Up and Chef both combined, how far you actually have to shoot from for this to activate, it might be a little bit of a stretch in terms of how good this badge really is. I might be overrating both these badges. I think Chef might belong in the C tier and Limitless Spot Up maybe back in the D tier. I feel like C is a pretty solid spot for them. Realistically, Chef is probably the worst B tier badge, and Limitless Spot Up is probably one of the top C tier badges, or maybe just stay right in the middle of the C. But anyway, for Chef, it's only for shooting off the dribble. So for example, you could be fading, you could be quick stopping, you could be standing still. If you stand still for too long, it's actually gonna be something that Limitless Spot Up would actually activate on, even if you're doing it off the dribble. So that's one thing to be mentioned with Limitless Spot Up. It can work for both ways. It can be catch and shoot and it can be off the dribble, but you have to wait so long for it to activate to be actually like doing it off the dribble. So I don't think it's worth doing. And then for Chef, like I said, it really fits the meta of like the point guards and stuff with like the quick stops and stuff, right? But you have to shoot from really deep. So like I said, this might be one of the lowest B tier badges on the list, and realistically, it's just hard to activate. But when you can, it really is useful in terms of shooting from that range. Next up, coming in the S tier, we have Hot Zone Hunter. So this is gonna be one of the lower S tier badges. I don't think it's really on par with, you know, some of these goats up here, but realistically, Hot Zone Hunter is a really glue badge. It's really good. It's going to boost all your ratings. Subsequently with it, you obviously have hot zones on your build too. So, I mean, really, it's kind of a compound thing where you have hot zones and you're going to have Hot Zone Hunter working for it. If you don't have hot zones, this is an F tier badge. It's not going to be good for anything. So first and foremost, you have to actually grind your hot zones and get them on your build, but when you do, it's gonna be really good. Obviously, the shooting percentage boost when you have these on, and like both the hot zones and the hot zone hunter, it's gonna be really good, and it fits everybody's playstyle too. I mean, realistically, the harder you work for your hot zones, the more utility you see this badge have. If you're a point guard out there and you like to play 2s and 3s, man, I tell you what, you get those mid-range hot zones too. It's gonna be really lethal when you combine that with difficult shots. Next badge, we got Stop and Pop, moving from the A tier to the S tier as well, just like Hot Zone Hunter. Also just like Hot Zone Hunter. I feel like these two badges are both right on the fringe. They're at the bottom of the S tier, but they didn't belong in the A tier. I think these badges are significantly worse than these two right here. However, again, these are all still good badges, but I do believe that they all belonged kind of a tier below these two badges right here. So just keep in mind, if I had like an A plus, S minus tier, these two would both be in it, to be honest with you, and they would be right below these 3 badges right here, and then right above all four of these badges right here. So to explain my reason behind Stop and Pop being in the S tier, realistically, it's just play style. It fits a lot of people's play style, and it's a really freaking good badge too. I mean, for you to be able to just come out here, you could be left right. You could just literally be doing left stick only, just left right, left right, left right, and literally just shoot off of it when you're standing still. And just like that, Stop and Pop is working. For people who are kind of complex dribblers, who are doing size up packages, size up escapes, all over the place, signature combos, and then boom, you hit the quick stop, just like that. Stop and Pop is activating for pretty much every shot you take. And I really do credit Stop and Pop and Sniper to the reason everybody hits wide open in this game. Or if you're talking catch and shoots, obviously you have like literally Hot Zone Hunter, catch and shoot, corner specialist, all types of stuff building that up. So realistically, there's a lot of reasons people aren't missing wide open shots in this game. And when it comes to off the dribble, you can credit Hot Zone Hunter, Stop and Pop, and Sniper a whole lot to that. So let's talk about it. We got this trio right here. These are all S tier badges as well. As you can see, just the power of shooting badges in this game, it's really crazy. And if you looked at the playmaking badge tier list from yesterday too, I mean, there are so many good playmaking and shooting badges in this game, and I feel like that's why we're at the deficit that we are, where defense can't really fight back to these zigzagging point guards or even just ISO either. I mean, realistically, offense is just good in this game. Now, I will say, defense is definitely better than like the garbage 2K21 next gen or current gen that we had last year, and I really won't take that for granted, but I will say it would be nice if defense could fight back. But either way, to explain, like I said, Sniper definitely letting people hit these wide open shots, and realistically, I just feel like the negative side of Sniper isn't even a thing. So just to explain to those people out there, if you hit it in the slightly early, slightly late, or green range, it's going to be boosting your shot ability to actually hit really well, and also just helping you green, just like that. Now, if you shoot late and early, the penalty is bigger, but I've seen people literally hit lates and earlies with this badge on Hall of Fame. There really should be that negative side to it a whole lot more, and I don't see that. And honestly, like, yes, I understand lates and earlies rarely go in, but the fact that I can ever see that happen from a point guard who has this on Hall of Fame is ridiculous. You should never ever make a late or an early when you have Sniper on. So again, in terms of hitting open shots, Sniper, you can really credit that a lot, and then even for hitting contested shots, Sniper is obviously still going to help. Now, when we're talking contested shots, these two are the absolute just beasts of that, and it makes it seem like you're not hitting contested shots either. So I'm sure you guys have seen out there, you get like a 30% on a contest or a 25, and you're like, how in the world was that a 25? Or maybe even like you get like an 8, and you're like, why is that an 8? That should literally be like a 20 or something like that. Well, credit blinders and mismatch experts. So what these badges are both going to do is drop the percentage of the contest that you get on a jump shot, whereas like I said, deadeye helps you make the contest, or even Sniper or Hot Zone Hunter, really anything, even Stop and Pop, all these badges would combine and help you make the contested jump shot realistically. But obviously deadeye is like directly doing that. It's only helping on those contested shots. But anyway, mismatch expert and blinders. Mismatch expert is pretty much going to be however much shorter you are than the defender that's guarding you. If they're just playing hands up defense, it lowers the percentage contest they get. If they're a little bit late on the contest as well, it's going to be devious. It's going to be hard for them to get a contest on that. And then for blinders, it's more of to the side jump shots. So for instance, if the defender is on your left and you are shooting the ball, it's acting like you're not even there. It's just canceling out peripheral vision, stuff like that. And Snipers is just dominant in that regard. There's no reason for me to talk about this on anybody who really like plays the game and understands what I'm talking about here, but it really explains why these 5.9s are nasty, man. I mean, the mismatch expert works on a lot of people. The blinders is on Hall of Fame as well. You get Hall of Fame level on literally all these badges. You get Hall of Fame on Deadeye, Hot Zone Hunter, mismatch expert, Stop and Pop, Sniper, blinders, even circus 3s, stuff like that. I mean, it really, there's no explanation really required to explain to you guys why people are shooting so good in this game. There's so many good shooting badges, and that really is what it comes down to. So that's what I'm talking about too when I mention anything like the C tier. I don't really see a lot of ability to run C tier badges or anything below when you're a point guard or anything like that, because you're already spending 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, like 30 somewhere in here, and then probably a combined like maybe 2 badges on Green Machine, 2 badges on Chef, and then just like that, you're already at 35. Most people probably don't have more than 40 shooting badges in this game. You're crazy if you do, but not really. Honestly, you're actually pretty smart, but realistically, the most you can even have is like 45 shooting badges. So you can't even afford stuff like Clutch Shooter, Volume Shooter if you already have all of these on Hall of Fame right here. But anyway, that's all for the video. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all the good stuff. Like always, let's try this 1,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put shot in the comments to show support to me all the way through, or put green in the comments if you would rather do that. But anyway, feel free to leave your feedback on this one. I felt like the shooting badge is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of like error I can really make with these if you ask me, whereas like the finishing and defense are a little bit more complex. But with shooting, there's so much definitive like explanation to like when you're open, when you're contested, what it's going to be doing for you. They're well explained by 2K as well, whereas it's a lot of vague stuff when it comes to the finishing and defensive stuff. But obviously with me, I have a lot more runs with that, and I have a lot more experience, so I'm able to kind of piece those together a lot more in my mind, whereas shooting is really straightforward. But anyway, soft video. Hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, feel free to leave your feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think as far as all these badges go. Let me know if you think I got anything wrong. Let me know if it's spot on, whatever the case may be. Anyway, soft video. Hope you all enjoyed. And that, take these, man. Peace.